What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today I'm going to solve one of your most annoying problems. If you're anything like me, you have one of these laying around. This is a horrible example of some kind of cable tree management solution idea to charge all your devices at home. We all have them: tablets, phones, chargers, batteries, cameras, you name it. Everything needs to be charged these days, and everything needs to be charged on a regular basis. But you end up with something like this because you want it all in one corner and you need to charge 5 devices at the same time. Looks horrible though, gets full of dust, and it's altogether not a very nice solution. Luckily, help is at hand. A few months ago I backed a Kickstarter project from a company called Native Union called the ECLIPSE. Got the box right here, it was delivered right today, and I've been playing around with it for a little bit. And I'm going to take you through the device and see if this is actually a better solution than this horrible cable management thing. It is quite stylish, it is certainly not cheap, but it promises to, eliminate a lot of annoyance and give your charging corner, if you will, a much better look and a much more functional design. So let's do a quick unboxing, see if it actually works the way they say it will, and see if this is a better solution than this. Alright, let's start with a little unboxing of the ECLIPSE from Native Union, as you can see. Two boxes, obviously they go inside each other, but for convenience I took them out already. This is the outside box, very stylish, already gives you an impression of the shape of the product. Nothing really on the box except a little thank you note, because this was a Kickstarter project, like I mentioned, that you're now part of the ECLIPSE family. Quite nice and sleek. The only weird part is that the opening of the box is on the bottom for some reason, so either they did that on purpose, which I can't really see why, or they printed it upside down. But that's a minor detail. Now, putting the outside box aside, you're left with what is inside. It's a sort of cardboard kind of situation here. Native Union, and that is all the inscription on it. Pops open like so, and you're presented with the unit right away. Up here, hope you can see that on camera as well, you get some paperwork included on how to assemble it, put the cables in, and how it actually works. And then the unit sits in here in the middle. You can see I got sort of the wood finish with blue. I got another one that I'll show you later in the video in a different color scheme. They had a whole variety of colors available, but these colors sort of fit my interior style and my personal preference quite well. You can see a little description here on the top with the pull-out plastic tab on what it actually does in terms of tapping on it and locking and unlocking it. So that is also very nicely presented and very clear from the get-go. Taking this out of the box, nothing really in it. You get the cable nicely tied together with a leather strap. Obviously you get your power cord, the unit itself, let's put that to the side, and you get a little wall mount if you decide to mount this on the wall, which is possible. This is obviously the thing to use. Now then, the ECLIPSE itself, very nicely presented in the box, but obviously it is about what the product actually does. You can see, like I said, I have the wood finish with the blue, and the cable then also comes in the blue together with the wall plug. Held together nicely with this leather strap, which I think was a Kickstarter stretch goal, but it looks kind of stylish. You're not really going to use it that much, I think, because once you unroll it, you probably leave it unrolled anyway. But still, it's a nice touch. Then, the unit itself. Well, it's plastic, obviously, with a nice finish on the top. You can see that, or here rather, that it sounds quite plasticky, and it's quite heavy. So that is always confidence inspiring, I think. On the back, not much to see except the place where you will put the wall mount in here, and then you can hang it up upside down, inside out on your wall to make it look extra stylish if that's the way you want to charge your device. Now I'll show you obviously how it works in practice, because there's a light included, and actually the base sort of rises out of itself, revealing the power cords. But I can already show you that when I open it up, this is how it looks like on the inside. You can see, hopefully on camera, that there is USB ports in these three sort of standing up parts. That's obviously where you plug your cables in. We've got the ECLIPSE written here, which I think looks kind of nice and stylish, even though you're never going to see it, because obviously this will always be on top. Once you put your cables in here, like I will show you later, you sort of wrap them around this as a sort of spool idea. And because obviously there's different layers with rubber, the cable is supposed to stay in there nice and snug. Then you put it back on here, like that, and the unit pretty much sits like this on your coffee table, on your bedside table, wherever you're going to put it. Once you want it to work, you start tapping it and it will rise up and you can actually plug your device. So far for the unboxing, I think job well done. A very nice way to present the product. They could have just put it in a brown box and call it a day. But that's, if you look at the other products that Native Union makes and sells, definitely not their style. It's a bit more presentation and a bit more thought into sort of the product experience, which I think is really nice. And as you'll see in the demonstration, that also translates into the actual use of the product. So let's get right to it and show you how it actually works in real life. Alright, now for the product demonstration, I've taken the other one that I've purchased through the Kickstarter project. This is the brown on brown, as you can see. I put in one of the blue cables, obviously of the blue unit you saw earlier, and this is just another cable I had laying around. So this is probably how you will set it up in daily life. You get your power cord here running to your power source, and this is how it'll sit on anywhere from your coffee table to your nightside table, next to your couch, you name it, really. Like I showed before, you can hang it on the wall as well with the wall mount, but it has to sort of fit the room and the situation, and then obviously you have to take into consideration that you need to put your device that you're charging somewhere as well. Now I'm going to start by turning off the lights, because this has a built-in light. If you tap it once, there we go. Don't really think you can see it on camera, but if I tilt it a little bit, you can see that there's a glowing light here on the bottom. That's sort of a halo effect, so you get a little light stream bleeding sort of out of the bottom around your device, and therefore it looks pretty good at night, but you have sort of a glowing halo of where your charging station is. Nice touch, strictly necessary, not really. Like I said, it showed you have to tap it once, but that doesn't really work all the time. To turn the light on, you can tap it again to turn it off. But it's a bit of a gimmick and not really necessary, I think. And it would have been cool maybe if they had different colors of light as well, which is not the case. But I guess it is nice and stylish when you have it sitting around with the light on, I suppose. Now turning the lights back on, we can focus more on the device. So it's one tap to activate the light and another one tap to turn the light off. If you tap twice, you can see it rising up. I'll do that again. Goes back in and rising back up. That is an integrated motor that pushes the platform out, and you can see that I have two cables sticking out here. You can put a third cable in, like I showed. There's three USB charging points in the device itself once you take the top off. And that is, how you are sort of using the unit on a daily basis. The weird part, I think, is, the motor is nice and it looks kind of cool when you're tapping it, if it works. The tapping is really unreliable, by the way, but we'll get to that in a second. It's not strictly necessary, because once you've put this in, your cable is going to stick out like this anyway, so you can plug your phone in and put it right there. So I'm not really sure what the need is for this. I can see, that the aim is to get messy cables out of the way, so when you're not using it, I suppose you can maybe fold the cables in completely together with the charging end, but that's, doesn't really go that smooth either. And then you put it back in, and then I suppose everything is out of the way. But since this will be, your main charging station, if you replace that messy cable bunch that I showed earlier, why would you want to go through the hassle all the time to put the cables away, tap it, get the cables out, fiddle, and then put your device in and charge it? So again, a bit of a gimmick, and I'm not really sure about the functionality that it actually adds to the device, unlike when you're tidying up and you can put it all away. Now the next problem comes in the form of space. So it's a nice, neat, tiny little device. It's not very big, compared to my hand. So that is good, because you don't want clutter in your living room or wherever it is that you use this device. But as you can see, if I put my phone on it, this is a OnePlus 3T, it's full. Technically you can put maybe two phones aside, but then you have a danger that it might slip off. It has 3 USB outlets though, so if you're charging 3 devices at a time, it doesn't fit. And you're gonna have something laying around and the cable sticking out even further, and you have to unwind it. So there's, a bit of a process going on there. So again, not really functional. It works when you're charging one device, you put it here, all as well, but with 2 or more devices, it becomes crowded. And if you're charging something like an iPad or a bigger phone, a smaller tablet, one device and it's full. So, you're gonna have clutter around it anyway. And then what is really the difference between this and just a cable box with a cable sticking out? It looks better for sure, but if it is more practical, I don't know. And that brings us to the downside. So obviously, you know, space is an issue, and like I showed before, the tapping is not reliable enough. I don't know what kind of sensor they put in here, but it just isn't reliable enough that it works all the time. It just requires, you know, a bit of practice, I suppose, and you get it, you know, a bit better. But overall, it is not responsive enough. Like I said, the thing rising out doesn't really add anything except that you can maybe fiddle around and store the cables away completely if you want a clean look. But if you're using this every day as your charging base, then the cables are going to be sticking out anyway, like I had in the beginning. This one. I think most of the time you'll have something like this going on. And obviously, you know, in that case you can have something charging here, something charging there, something on the top. But it doesn't really add to the neatness factor that this sort of promotes to be. Price-wise, I paid $118 on Kickstarter for the 2 units. You know, if you compare that to just a charging brick with 5 outlets, it is expensive. For that, you do get a stylish product that is, you know, well made, I'd say. Feels solid, feels sort of confidence inspiring when you have it in your hand and you put it around. It doesn't wiggle or anything, so it is properly made. But for $118, you know, compared to a charging brick, I have serious doubts if it's worth it beyond the style element. It's a bit of a gimmick, I suppose, so, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff, it is something fun to show guests maybe, that you can tap it and it opens and closes, and you can turn on the light with a tap. But other than that, I have my doubts on the functionality. It does what it needs to do, you know, it does what it says on the box. It charges your device and it takes care of some of the clutter of cables, and obviously this does look much better than you know, the cable tree that I showed in the beginning of the video. But purely from a functional point of view, I don't think it is worth $118 for 2 of these units. The practical side of hanging it on the wall, I really don't understand, because then you'll be fiddling with the cables even more, and there's no real place to have your device unless you want to put it on the top, but since it's a circle, that doesn't sound very reliable either. So I don't really see that as a solution whatsoever. Although that said, then the halo effect of the lights, if it ever turns back on, will look a little bit cooler on a dark wall. Alright, conclusion time. What do we make of the ECLIPSE from Native Union, the promise of getting rid of messy cables? Well, theoretically it does get rid of your cables. You know, it is a nicer place than a cable tree or a cable charging brick with 5 USB outlets. It certainly is a lot better looking than that. If you take care of your cables a little bit in this, it looks much better wherever you have it standing around, in a bookshelf, bedside table and so on. I don't think hanging it on the wall is really a solution, but if you have this sitting maybe with 1 cable sticking out, I think it looks quite stylish and a lot less messy than it otherwise would. It is, however, more a design exercise than an actual practical solution, I think, though. Like I showed earlier in the video, you always have cables sticking out. There's no real place to charge more than 1 device, especially not when it's a bigger device. The motor going up and down, it's a bit of a gimmick, and the halo light really doesn't add anything. Not to mention that the tapping is too inconsistent for it to be super functional. So, you know, where it does get rid of your cables, theoretically speaking, and it does really look good, I think from a practical point of view, you know, they could have done with just raising the base a little bit and having USB outlets there, and you'll be fine. Which, actually, there is plenty of things on Amazon you can buy that are similar to this, without all the fancy gimmicks, I'd say, for a lot less money, because like I said, 180 bucks on Kickstarter for 2 of these is very pricey. That's not even the final retail price. For that though, you get a very stylish looking product, so if you're into design, you know, this will definitely be something sort of interesting for you, I suppose. It is high quality, you know, the cabling, the extra USB cables that I ordered as well, they're super high quality with Kevlar, so you know, no rubber affair from China. Certainly a quality product, but purely from a functional point of view, I don't think it's worth 118 bucks for 2 of these. So all in all, nice design exercise, you know, if you can afford it, why not? I liked it more on Kickstarter than I liked it in real life, to be honest. I don't think it's recommendable as a charging solution if you're looking for something to get rid of your cables. There's certainly other things that you can spend money on and get more out of it. As a design exercise, it's nice though. It looks good and it's certainly a quality product, but it definitely comes at a hefty price without that much added functionality. This is Peter from Reviews on Anything with a look at the Eclipse by Native Union. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel please, that always helps us out a lot. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!